Well, hello and welcome to the Movie Paradise Show. I'm your host, Nathanael Molnár, and this is the live show that we do every single Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, if you've been watching for any period of time, you can tell today is a little bit different. Different background, different setup, different everything, and I'm very excited about the possibilities that are held with doing the show in this way. And I just want to give a shout out. Matt Smith is here. He's going to be helping running the live show, making sure everything's running smoothly, as well as operating the live chat. So, before we get started, actually, let's just get started. The first thing we're going to talk about today is I had a chance over the weekend to go see the Lego Movie 2, the second part, as it's called. So I have a few things I want to say about it. These are spoiler-free thoughts. You're not going to get the movie spoiled for you. Don't worry. I would never do that to you. So, I saw for the first time over the weekend the first Lego Movie. I had never seen it before, and I watched it in preparation for seeing this new one. And I really liked that one. I thought it was witty. I thought it was smart. I thought the writing was great and razor sharp. And I thought it was very meta, but also underneath all that, once you figure out the context that that story is set within, it makes it all the more impactful. It makes it mean so much more. And it just hammers it all in home. And so all these elements, the meta-ness, how funny it is, the great characters, the great voice performances, all of that, it makes that even more powerful once you realize what the movie actually means, what it's all meaning. So I loved the first one. And with the second one, I liked it. I definitely liked it, but not nearly as much as the first one. And I think the things that the first movie does so well, the second movie doesn't do as well. There's still a meta humor there. There's still great voice performances. And there's still a greater context for what the story actually means. That's all still there. It's just not, it doesn't hit and land to the same degree as the first one. You know, I think the first one gets really caught up, in a good way, gets really caught up in the idea of, oh, well, we know this is just a movie about Legos that's here to sell toys, so let's make fun of everything. Let's make fun of ourselves, and let's just be incredibly meta about all this. And that's part of the fun of the first one, is that it doesn't take itself too seriously up until you figure out what the context of the story is. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and it just has fun with the ludicrous nature of the film. With the Lego Movie 2, I feel like it takes itself more seriously. It gets deeper into its characters and focuses more on its narrative, but those aren't necessarily the components of the movie that we, the audience, are coming and looking for. When you watch Lego Movie 2, your first thought isn't exactly how profound the characters are. You know, Emmett is a cool character, and I love Chris Pratt voicing him, but he's not necessarily the most three-dimensional, well-fleshed-out character, enough so that when we come to the Lego Movie 2, we're all saying, oh, I can't wait to see Emmett. I'm looking forward to Emmett. Or, you know, Wildstyle or Lucy or, you know, any of the characters that are in there. They're cool characters with great voice casts and you enjoy them. But they don't necessarily offer so much in of themselves that if the movie is focused entirely on them and their story, that's compelling enough. A lot of it is the meta humor. And with the second one, you don't have as much of that. It focuses more on the story. It focuses more on its characters. And there's just something lost. There's a spark and a charm that accompanies the first one that is lost with this second one. It's still a good movie. I enjoyed it. If I'm going to give it a go or a no-go, I'll give it a go. But I wasn't thrilled with the movie, especially after seeing the Lego Batman movie, which I thought was great as well. It didn't have enough there, not like the first one. So, if you're interested, you like the first Lego movie, you like all the Lego movies, if you enjoy them and you were looking forward to this new one, yeah, I'd say go check out the new one. But it's not nearly as good as the first one, so it was a bit of a disappointment for me, even though I still found the film to be good. So, anyways, those are my thoughts on the Lego Movie 2. In the comments section, leave me your thoughts. What did you think of the Lego Movie 2? And I'll take a look at those. But moving on to our next topic we're going to be talking about today. So, the movie Aquaman came out in December. and it was a huge hit. Nobody was expecting it to be as big of a hit as it was. I had said that if the movie had gotten below a 65% on Rotten Tomatoes, or rather under 75%, if the movie got under 75% on Rotten Tomatoes, that the movie would not make beyond 550 million worldwide. Well, I was completely wrong, because the movie got like a 65 on Rotten Tomatoes, and it made $1.1 billion. So, yeah, I was completely wrong on that front. But nobody was really expecting the success of Aquaman to the degree that we had it. And while a lot of people liked the movie, I didn't necessarily care for it. I did not think it was a very well-written movie, well-performed movie, well-executed or well-directed in any sort of way. I just did not like Aquaman. But that's not to take away from the fact that everybody else likes this movie. And if you like it, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. And you're probably going to be even more excited about this news, because they announced that they are going to be doing a spin-off film of Aquaman. Is it going to be a Mera film? No. Is it going to be about King Orm? No. Who's it going to be? It's going to be about a 5-minute scene from the film, and it's going to be called The Trench. Now, this is not officially confirmed. This is not greenlit. This is just in development. They said, I think it was The Hollywood Reporter broke it. I might be wrong on that front. But one of the major trades broke the story that this movie was going to be happening. James Wan commented on it and said, I'm not confirming nor denying that this film is happening, but it was an aspect of the Aquaman film that I really liked and was really intrigued with from the beginning when we were first putting this movie together. And it's something that I always hoped would be further explored later down the line. So, when they said that The Trench was going to be a possibility as a spin-off film from Aquaman, I was very taken aback, because, we've never really seen a superhero movie do a spin-off to this degree of, no, it's not a character, it's a place. We've never really seen that before in superhero movies. And then I made the connection, as sure most of you have by now. Oh, well, this is the same method that James Wan used with the Conjuring movies. You have a Conjuring film, you take a standout part or moment or character from that movie, in the first case was Annabelle, spin them off into their own thing, and get that franchise going, then go back to the Conjuring, and then get another spin-off going, which we got The Nun. So, this isn't unprecedented, and you can see that James Wan is taking his style of universe building that he did with The Conjuring, and he's bringing that to DC with Aquaman, with The Trench. So, am I interested in The Trench? I have a bit of mixed feelings on it. On one hand, I think the potential and the idea of this film could be something really cool. You can explore, to a greater degree, all the creatures of this underwater universe that, while I didn't like the film, that James Wan created and started with Aquaman. There's so much potential for what you could explore with the underwater depths in something like The Trench, and especially, The Trench was my favorite part of that movie. That was my favorite part. I thought it was cool. I thought it was bringing it back to James Wan's horror roots, and I thought he did a really good job with that portion of the film, albeit it's only 5 minutes. But that was the part of the movie that I latched onto the most. And so when you're looking at the pros of doing a spin-off about The Trench, you could explore horror to a greater degree with underwater, and when have we gotten a really great underwater horror movie? I can't think of any, at least in the last while. So you can explore something that we haven't really seen before on screen, at least in this context. You're taking one of the big parts, at least in my opinion, that I like the most about Aquaman, and you're focusing and delving into that. So there are definitely pros to this idea. But the cons are, at least for me, I didn't like Aquaman. So why should I have any vested interest in a spin-off of a movie that I didn't like? And it is an interesting place to go with this series. You could say that you can understand where it's coming from when you look at what James Wan did with The Conjuring, but we've never seen a spin-off to this degree in a superhero franchise. Of all things, a superhero franchise. So then that begs the question, would Aquaman be involved in this? Is this tied to the larger DC universe, or is this just its own weird kind of horror flick that's its own thing? So I'm mixed on this. I think there's great potential, and if you got a great director and a great writer, and you really fleshed it out, and you did something really unique and different with The Trench, I think it could work, and I think it could be a lot of fun. On the other hand, I didn't like Aquaman. I have no vested interest in this franchise, let alone a spin-off, so there's trade-offs. It could turn out to be something cool, or they could just go in the same exact direction of Aquaman, which I didn't like that direction, so why should I like the direction of this spin-off? So we'll have to wait for more information, and they may not even do this film. It's in development, which doesn't mean it's greenlit. They're not currently working on it. It's just in development, which can mean a lot of different things. So we'll have to wait and see if there's any more information on this, if it even goes anywhere, but right now, I'm mixed on it. So, moving on to the next topic. As we all know, or hopefully, or maybe all know, maybe we don't all know, this year in 2019, we have a remake of Child's Play coming out. Now, Child's Play is the first film that started the Chucky franchise. And of course, Chucky has had a long franchise that hasn't really done all too well in the later installments. But Child's Play, that first Child's Play, is a really good movie. I really enjoy it quite a bit. I think it's fun. I think it's scary. I think it's new and innovative for that movie, and then they kind of beat it into the ground with all the subsequent sequels, many of which were just straight to VOD. But now we have a remake of that first Child's Play coming, and it stars Audrey Plaza from Parks and Recreation and Ingrid Goes West and all the number of films that she's done in her post-Parks and Recreation career. And she's going to be playing the leading role in this. And the trailer is interesting because it's a tease. It's not a full trailer. We don't get too much of a sense. But one of the things that becomes apparent when watching this, and excuse me, and even reading into it a little bit, is that the source for how Chucky comes about, how a doll becomes a sentient being, is going to be changed for this film. In the first movie, and I believe Child's Play came out in '89, the original. I might be wrong on that date. But when Child's Play came out, it was possession. You had the Brad Dourif character who had, he did some sort of magical spell or something that put his consciousness inside the body of Chucky, and he was a serial killer, and so that's how Chucky came to life in that movie. But it looks like in this one they're going to be using AI, artificial intelligence, to explain why Chucky goes rogue. Even when watching Child's Play, I feel like the original, I feel like the idea of it being possessed by some serial killer wizard is way too out there of an idea. So I like the idea of them changing it. I feel like the AI idea has been so overdone at this point. We've seen that countless times in movies. Oh, artificial intelligence takes over, becomes bad, and tries to kill people. How many times have we seen that? So I don't know if AI was the right direction to go in, but I'm glad that they're changing it up from a serial killer wizard, which I think is a smart thing to do. We'll have to wait and see the actual film to see how it plays out, whether we realize that, you know what, AI is the perfect direction to go in with this series. It makes complete sense, and it works within the context of this film, or we might see the movie and say, yeah, AI was a terrible idea. They should have gone for the serial killer wizard. Anyways, we'll have to wait and see the movie to figure out that. But otherwise, I like the teaser, and it is a teaser. We don't get too much of a sense of the film, but I'm interested. I'm excited. I'm very interested to see what they do with this film. Moving on, we also have another teaser that we're going to be talking about today. And I'm sure if you hadn't heard of Child's Play, you've definitely heard of this. Aladdin dropped a teaser, another one, because they have not put out a full trailer yet. They've only done two teasers, two like under a minute teasers. So anyways, one of them drops at the Grammys on Sunday, I believe. And we get our first look at Will Smith as the Genie. Yeah, that's what he looks like. I remember hearing a while ago that there was a rumor going around that Will Smith as the Genie would not be CGI, but rather they would be using practical effects. Now, I always say, if you can go for practical effects, do practical effects in place of CGI, because I feel like it's always better. I have to change that now, because seeing this image, it was not a good idea to do practical effects. This should have been a CGI character because this looks terrible. It really does. Will Smith does not look good as the Genie. I don't know how else to explain it. I don't know how to quantify it. It's just, he does not look good as the Genie. And otherwise, the trailer, even though it was brief, under a minute, I thought it was cool. I thought it was interesting. We don't see too much. Jafar was a little underwhelming. But other than that, we don't see too much, but from what we do see, it looks interesting. Now, Guy Ritchie's directing this, which I think is a very interesting pick for an Aladdin movie. So I'm curious to see what he does with it. I don't know if this movie is going to be any good or not. I mean, it's Disney, and I usually have faith in Disney, but they haven't always put out the greatest films. I mean, look at The Nutcracker and the Four Realms from last year. That didn't turn out so hot. And Wrinkle in Time didn't do very well either. So it's not like they're immune from bombs. But Aladdin could be good. They've got a good director in there. They've got a good cast in there. They have all the potential and great source material to take from to make this film. So they have all these elements that could work for them. But I don't know if it's going to turn out well or not. We haven't seen enough of the movie to be able to make a great prognosis. But if this Will Smith picture of him as the Genie is any indication of how this film is going to turn out, we're in for a bit of a disaster. So they should have just done CGI. But anyways, that's my thoughts on the Aladdin trailer. And the last thing, and probably the big thing, because it is the title of this video, that I want to talk about is the Oscars. So we'd heard a while ago that the Oscars were going to limit themselves exclusively to 3 hours. In the past, they always say, oh yeah, it's 3 hours, but it's never 3 hours. It always goes over. And they were looking at ways of how do we tighten the show to make it exclusively 3 hours. And so we heard a bunch of different things about what they could be doing. And one thing that was thrown around was that they might present some of the topics for the some of the different categories. They might actually award them off camera during the commercial breaks. And then they would take some of the acceptance speeches, edit it together, and air them later in the show. So they always said that that was an option. Well, the other day, they announced what categories would be announced off camera. And if you're not going to do Best Picture or Best Actor or any of those, these are the next ones up. Best Cinematography. They said that was not good enough to be aired live during the show. Let's put that off camera. Cinematography. Editing. Best Editing. That's not good enough to be during the live show. Off camera. Hair and makeup. That's not good enough. Now, the other one that they said, Best Live Action Short, I agree with that. And I'll get into my proposal for what categories should have been taken out and aired during the commercial breaks as opposed to these. But first of all, what the hell are the Oscars thinking? What was the Academy thinking in taking Best Cinematography and Best Editing, two cornerstones of filmmaking, and airing them during a show that honors the year of filmmaking and airing them off screen during the commercial breaks? What are they thinking? I forget who was. I think it might have been Guillermo del Toro, but I noticed this a lot online. Someone specifically said that cinematography and editing are the two things that are in the process of making a film that are actually 100% unique to film. Because when movies came about and filmmaking came about, all these different elements like acting and directing and costumes and all this stuff, that came over from theater. That originated in theater and was adapted to film. But when the medium of film first originated, what was needed to actually make it unique to film? You needed cinematography and you needed editing. Without those, you do not have a movie. So for them to just so blatantly disrespect those two categories in particular, hair and makeup, I think that's an important part of movie making, but not to the same degree as cinematography and editing. I think anyone would agree with that, even people who work in hair and makeup. And I think even people who work on best live-action short films, or just live-action short films, which they would be awarded best live-action short films, anyone who works on those, I think, would agree that cinematography and editing are more inherent and more imperative to filmmaking than their category, their respective category. So why would you take two of the most important categories, two fundamental cornerstones in filmmaking, and so blatantly disrespect them like this? It just doesn't make sense to me. I would suggest, if you're going to take any categories, which I'm opposed to taking any of these categories and presenting them off screen. I'm opposed to that myself. But if you are going to do it, there are a couple of categories that you could do in place of cinematography and editing. Best documentary short. Best documentary short. You can air that off camera. Why would you choose to have that one in the awards show, but air cinematography off screen? That doesn't make any sense to me. So best documentary short, best live action short, which they've already cut out. Best, I think, live action feature length. I forget. There's a couple of categories. Honestly, you could even take foreign film. You could even take best documentary. You could air those during the commercials, because at least with those, the audience, because they're changing the show for the audience, the people watching at home. They're adjusting the show and limiting the show to appeal to them. Okay, I can understand that. You're an awards show. The first priority should be the awards, but the second priority is the show. You need to make sure that you're making an actual good show that people at home are going to watch and pay attention to, so that they can watch all the commercials and they can make all their money. The producers on the Oscars. Yeah. Get that. So they need to appeal to the people at home. So I can understand the need to limit the show to 3 hours, to take some categories that the average viewer of the Oscars doesn't necessarily care about and showing them off camera. I can understand that logic. It makes complete sense. But why not do it with the categories that has films in them that, most people haven't seen? Most people have not seen all the nominees for Best Documentary or Best Documentary Short. Most people have not seen the nominees for Best Live Action Short or for Best Foreign Film. Most people have not seen those films. So why would you air those, but then take out key filmmaking elements like cinematography and editing, when those are all movies that are the same nominees as Best Picture, Best Acting, and all that? It just doesn't make any sense. It feels, for the Oscars, which is supposed to be the most prestigious film award show, when you win an Oscar, you can win a SAG, you can win a BAFTA, you can win any of those. And those are great, and those are high honors. But to win an Academy Award is the highest honor in the world of film that you can win. It just is. And the show is supposed to be, and the awards as a whole, is supposed to be a recognition and an honoring of not just that year of film, but film in general. And it just, you can't help, as a film fan and as a filmmaker, you can't help but feel cheated and disrespected when it seems like the people who run the Oscars don't know how movies work. Why would they think that cinematography and editing, oh yeah, no, just show those off camera. Just show those off camera. Nobody's going to notice. Nobody's going to care about cinematography and editing. It baffles me that anybody thought this was a good idea. I've seen a ton of backlash to this online. So I'm hoping that maybe the Academy hears this, and it's not going to be too hard for them to actually change it in the next 2 weeks before the show. It won't take that much work. I am hoping that the Academy listens to people, listens to the cinematographers, listens to the editors, listens to the people who are actually involved in the industry, who are saying, this is a fucking terrible idea. Hopefully, they'll listen, and then by Sunday, they'll have rectified the problem. Hopefully. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if that'll actually happen, but I'm hoping that's what will happen. So we'll have to wait and see that. So anyways, that's going to do it for the main topics today. But I do want to go take a look at the live chat that we have going on. And I want to take a couple of minutes to answer some of the questions that you guys have, or comments, or whatever it is you're throwing around in the live chat, talking about in reference to this show. So, Matt, what do we have going on for us in the live chat today?
Rich Reviews says, love you rocking that beard. So
Rich Reviews, I think last show, Rich, you talked about my beard before. Once again, thanks for the comment on the beard.
Matt Smith says, about to riot to get editing back.
Yes, I'm sure, Matt, you're very disappointed about the news about this
How did
editing.
they took popular category and was like, how do we do even worse?
Exactly. If the best, most popular film, which how do you even quantify that? That doesn't make any sense. If that wasn't bad enough, hey, cinematography, editing, fuck you. That's essentially what the Academy is saying right now. What else do we have?
Well, we just got to you asking questions in the live chat now, so we might be getting some more. Let's see, what do we got here? We had a comment on Will Smith.
Oh, yeah?
That was pretty good. Rob gave a pretty good comment on Will Smith. There was a suggestion for you to play the Genie.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. Which, I mean, would probably be an improvement.
Yeah, I think you know what? I think I could do a better job acting and performing than Will Smith. I think I'm pretty confident in my abilities to say that I could pull it off better than Will Smith.
We can just go down to Home Depot or whatnot.
Yeah, get some blue body paint. Tobias Funke this up.
Yeah. Let's see. Rob says, what do you think of MA?
M.A. As in Massachusetts?
What do you think of Massachusetts?
Well, Massachusetts, I mean, I'm from Massachusetts, so it's a place where you can live.
You can live. You got the Lego Movie 2 felt like a bunch of references in search of a plot.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I think there's more of a plot to it than no plot. Like, there's definitely a story to it, and there's definitely a plot to it. But, you know, it's not as good of a story. It's just not as good as the first one, I think. And I think it's just heightened by the fact that the jokes aren't as funny. It's not as meta. The new characters aren't as great as the original characters. The story isn't as good as the first character, as the first story. So when you add all these components up, you just get a movie that is good, but not nearly as good as the first one. And I think that's really, and especially when you're looking at the box office, which we usually on Tuesdays, my days of the week are all screwed up right now. Usually on Tuesdays we talk about the box office, which I did not prepare for this show. But the Lego Movie 2 took a significant dive, like pretty much about half of what the first one made opening week. Excuse me, what the first one made opening weekend. The second one made about half of that. So it took a gigantic dive, which is very unfortunate to see. But we've seen a downward trajectory for all of the Lego movies that have opened up. So yeah, I would agree. I don't know if I necessarily agree with what the user was saying about. It's a bunch of references searching for a plot. But I can definitely agree. References, jokes, characters, story, all those elements are not as good in the second one as the first one.
I had said I hadn't seen Aquaman yet, and I was told don't. It was also would rather see Aquaman. Would rather watch The Trench than Aquaman 2.
Who's this writing?
Rob.
Trench over Aquaman 2. Yes, because they did announce Aquaman 2 recently. Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I'd definitely be more interested in The Trench than Aquaman 2. Because at least Aquaman 2, you know, they're just going to try to do the first one again. They're going to go for a similar tone. They're going to go for a similar story, similar characters. It's going to just be trying to continue the first one. And I didn't like the first one. At least with The Trench, there's the potential for doing something different. The potential for doing something new. And that all exists there with The Trench. So I would agree with you. I'm definitely more interested in the Trench, that spin-off, rather than an actual Aquaman 2. But because, you know, I review movies and I like comic book movies, I'm going to end up seeing them all anyways. But I'm definitely looking more forward to the Trenched and an Aquaman 2.
Alright, we got a little bit of an echo. The mic's echoing a little bit.
Oh, no?
To it right now.
Oh, sorry about
Maybe
that.
if we move it around a little bit.
Sure, you know what? I will lower it a little bit. Maybe I'm talking too loud. Does that sound better?
I don't know, I'm waiting for the delay.
All right. Do we have any more questions?
Rob says, breaking news. Nate says that if you don't win an Oscar only a slag, you're a shitty actor.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. The SAGs, meaningless. BAFTAs, meaningless. Every award show, other than the Golden Globes, I'm just kidding. Everything is meaningless compared to the Oscars. That should be the new Lego movie song. Everything is meaningless. Whatever. Yeah. No, I mean, the SAGs mean a lot. And the BAFTAs mean a lot. And any of these other award shows that we see within the industry, aside from the Oscars, they all mean something. And to win a SAG award is an absolute honor. Absolute honor. I'm not saying that it's not. But compared to the prestige of winning an Academy Award, that makes your career. That's the highlight of your career. If you win an Academy Award, you're buried with on your tombstone saying, this person won an Academy Award. You know, that comes to define your life and your existence and your career, especially compared to some of those other ones. So I guess understanding the historic prestige of the Academy Awards and winning an Academy Award, it makes it even harder to see just how stupid the people running the Academy right now are acting when we hear about Best Popular Film Award, or hearing that they're gonna award Best Cinematography and Editing off camera. You know, any of these things that we're hearing coming out of it, it just makes it harder to hear. It makes it more frustrating when you understand the prestige that accompanies winning an Academy Award. We have anything else in the chat board right now?
What'd you eat for lunch?
What did I eat for lunch? I ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich about an hour ago, right before the show, because I had not eaten lunch. I had breakfast, and I had not eaten anything, and I was starving. I was like, okay, I gotta eat something before I do this live show. So I quick ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and that was my lunch. Thanks for asking.
In regards to the echo that we had, which is fixed, by the way.
Oh, good.
Rob said, I said blame the guy in charge. Rob says, you're doing a great job, referring to me. He's just so ... I'll save it. There's a couple insults that I'm filtering out.
Yeah, that was something I'd said to Matt. I was like, when we come to the live chat, there's gonna be some unsavory things in there, so you're gonna have to filter it out a little bit. There's some riffraff in the live chat. Now I don't have I have the luxury of not seeing the live chat now. It's all Matt, so he's the one who's going to be scarred with whatever is in there.
Okay, so he said, what do you think of MA? I said, what's MA? He said, no, the new horror movie, you clowns.
The horror movie? MA?
Is there new horror movies?
Yes. So there's with Octavia Spencer. I think there's a trailer coming tomorrow. Yes. Ma. It's Ma.
Oh.
Yes, with Octavia Spencer. I have not watched the trailer yet. I think actually the trailer drops tomorrow. If I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's today. I don't know. But anyways, I love Octavia Spencer, so she's in a new movie. I'm going to be interested in it.
What is Ma?
I don't know anything about it, to be honest.
Is it not like based off of something?
All I saw was that there was a poster that said Ma trailer coming tomorrow with Octavia Spencer. That's all I really saw, so I don't know too much more other than that.
Rob's telling me to read your insults. Do you want some insults?
Maybe I'll read them after when we're off camera.
Yeah, a little bit. Don't sing, please. It's tacky and I hate it. That's one.
Tacky and I hate it. Yeah, that's singing. Okay, what's the next one?
This is my question. What did you? Everything is awesome versus this will get stuck in your head from the Lego Movie 2.
Well, This Will Get Stuck in Your Head is a song in the Lego Movie 2. I won't say anything more about the context of it because I don't want to spoil the movie. But it didn't actually get stuck in my head. Everything is awesome. I think the thing with Everything is Awesome, the song is stupid. It's a stupid song. But once you actually see how it's used in the movie, it makes sense and it works. And it's another case of the meta nature of the film. Even that song, they know that song is terrible, and it's worked into the movie. So, both are pretty bad, I think. But one is actually used really well in the movie. The other one, not as much. So I go with Everything is Awesome over This Will Get Stuck in Your Head.
Cool. That was my stalling. You barely see any new movies, don't lie.
This is Rob, I'm assuming?
Yeah, it's
I don't get to see too many new movies, and I've said this a whole bunch of times on this channel, but I'll just say very briefly, when I am at home, as you can see probably from my sweatshirt, I attend FSU. When I am at home, I have AMC A-List, and there's an AMC theaters about 20 minutes away from me, so when I'm home, I get to pretty much see all the movies that I want. When I'm at school, there's a theater right by me, but, you know, it's not AMC, so I have to pay out of pocket every time I want to see a movie, in addition to paying the monthly fee still to keep A-List. So I have less incentive to go see everything that comes out in theaters. And right now, we're in the part, like, there's a whole bunch of January movies that I had no problem skipping. And a lot of February movies, too. So, and there's a few that I like that I'm not going to be able to get to see, but that's just what happens. But it's unfortunate, but that's just the way things are. That's the world. We got any more comments?
There's some new ones. When are we doing the live movie trivia show? I want a rematch after that bullshit rigged first game.
It was not rigged. This is Rob writing, I'm assuming. That was not rigged. You lost fair and square.
Yeah.
What happened was, it came down to we picked our own categories, and I was able to pick my own category. I think I got comic book movies as the category. I got comic book movies. I got them all right. You got your category. You got most of them wrong. I won. That's just how it works. Now, your thing that you say is, oh, well, you only won because you got comic book movies. That's the game, my friend. That's the game. Sometimes you get a category that works for you. Sometimes you don't. In your case, you didn't know any of the answers to your questions. I did. So if anything, that is a true testament to who is better at movie trivia. We might get a rematch at some point. We'll have to wait and see. But I still have my trophy, and you still live with the shame of losing. All right, what's next?
He says, yes, it was. Don't listen to him. In terms of the delay, we just got to asking you that question.
Really?
So
wow,
that
is a... We're going to have to work on the delay on this video.
It's a work in progress. You need to see or let me spoil Serenity for you.
Okay. You could spoil it for me later. Not in chat. Not in the chat. I don't want anyone else to be spoiled. But I am at some... Okay. I do want to know what happens in Serenity.
What is Serenity?
It's this new movie. Came out a couple weeks ago with Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway. And it's not doing too well. It bombed at the box office. People don't like it. But there's this big polarizing twist in it that has a lot of people talking. I don't know what the twist is. I probably am not going to see the movie. At this point, I'm not going to see Serenity. So later, personally, you can tell me what the twist is. Because I am curious to know what it is. And I don't really care about seeing the movie at all.
It's like a horror movie? Is it like a...
It's like a... it's a drama. I don't really know. I don't know. It takes place like on a boat and it involves killing someone. I don't know. It's very strange. The trailer didn't explain too much.
He's still on the trivia. He had a Rocky question in the action movie category. What a joke.
Well, when you go on IMDb and you look at Rocky, the first thing it says is that it's an action movie. So there you go.
Okay. Rich Reviews. Do you know who Rich Reviews is?
They come into the chat from time to time. Hey, Rich. Good to see you.
Okay, I'm glad that he's a regular. He says he has some stuff to say.
Yeah,
Bring
it on.
Well, I read it already. He asked a question. I don't know if you want it.
Is it bad?
It's not. It's not bad. It has nothing to do with movies. It is more of a personal question.
All right, sure. As long as it's not anything inappropriate, I don't really.
You want to read it?
Sure. All right, 1 second, guys.
You see where my you see where my
Yeah, I'm gonna avoid that one. So let's go on to the next.
Oh boy, are there next? There are not.
No.
What else is going on in movies? Give me the rundown.
All right. Well, if we don't have any more questions, then we kind of run out the time on this chat. But thank you guys for joining us for this discussion. Really enjoyed it. So, what is coming up next? Thursday is our next live stream, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully some of the kinks in the show we're going to work out because, of course, this was the first time with the new setup, new everything. So hopefully things are going to run a little bit more smoothly next show. We're going to work some of those things out. I do want to say, I can't say too much about it, but we do have a director interview coming up that our co-host Rob Giganta and I are going to be conducting in the next few days. That's going to be really interesting. I don't want to say anything too much about it right now, but that is coming, so keep your eyes open for that. That's going to be really cool. So, the Movie Paradise show. I think it went pretty well overall.
Yeah.
Maybe some hiccups, but other than that, it went well. Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are streaming live on YouTube, so make sure to join us for that. And make sure to like, comment, subscribe for more content. And be sure to follow us on all of our various social medias at Movie Paradise 99. And if you like our content, be sure to check us out on Patreon. We have a couple of tiers there if you're interested in contributing to the channel and helping making all this run. So, until Tuesday, or Thursday, no, today's Tuesday. I said earlier that all my days of the week are all messed up. Until Thursday, when we do our next live stream, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for joining us.